Hare Krishna all. Welcome to Shubhamangalarati Japa session and short Srimad Bhagavatam class. So today we'll be discussing from first canto chapter 15 verse number 25 and 26. I'll share my screen. Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.15.25-26. जलौकस्मा जले यद्वान् महतो अद्यन्त अन्यस्याः दुर्बलं बलिनो राजन् महन्तो बलिनो मिहतः एवं बलिस्थर यदुभिर् महाभिर् इतारन् विभुः यदुन् यदुभिर् अन्योन्यं बहुभरन् संजहरा. Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. O king, as in the ocean, a bigger and stronger aqueducts swallow up the smaller and weaker ones, so also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to lighten the burden of the earth, has engaged the stronger Yadu to kill the weaker and the bigger Yadu to kill the smaller. Purport. In the material world, the struggle for existence and survival of the fittest are the laws, because in the material world there is disparity between conditioned souls due to everyone's desire to lord it over the material resources. This very mentality of lording it over the material nature is the root cause of conditioned life. And to give facility to such imitation lords, the illusionary energy of the Lord has created a disparity between conditioned living beings by creating the stronger and the weaker in every species of life. The mentality of lording it over the material nature and the creation has naturally created a disparity, and therefore the law of struggle for existence. In spiritual world, there is no such disparity, nor is there a struggle. Is there such a struggle for existence? In spiritual world, there is no struggle for existence because everyone there exists eternally. There is no disparity because everyone wants to render service to the Supreme Lord. Nobody wants to imitate the Lord in becoming the beneficiary. The Lord, being creator of everything, including the living beings, factually is the proprietor and enjoyer of everything that be. But in the material world, by the spell of Maya or illusion, this eternal relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is forgotten, and so the living being is conditioned under the law of struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. Hare Krishna. I will offer my prayers before I begin. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Ajnananjanashilakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadhamahyam Dadhanti Swapadanti Kamandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamlam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada and Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वांचा कल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निधिनाम स्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी चारिणी विशेष शून्य काष्टी Hare Krishna. So, today in today's verse, Srila Prabhupada in the translation is writing, O king, as in the ocean, the bigger and stronger aquatics swallow up smaller and weaker ones, so also the Supreme Personality of Godhead to lighten the burden of the earth has engaged the stronger Yadu to kill the weaker and the bigger Yadu to kill the smaller. So, here in today's verse, we can see in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is writing about the survival of the fittest. So, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, he has emphasized on various points, and we'll discuss one by one. So, first of all, Srila Prabhupada is, mentioned about survival of the fittest, how there is struggle for existence and there is and the survival of the fittest. So, what does this survival of fittest means? Whoever is strong, that person survives. Usually we tend to hear this particular word, survival of the fittest, the particular phrase in basically in science. It's basically a science terminology. So here in this material world, there is struggle for existence. That is what Srila Prabhupada is writing, and we all know about this verse that states um Padam Padam Yad Vipadam, and this material world is Dukhalayam and Ashashvatam. So, at every step that a soul takes in this material world, there is always struggle. That is why it is known as Padam Padam Yad Vipadam. So, every step that an individual soul is taking, there is a struggle, that a particular living entity is facing hardship and struggle, at every step that it takes, because that living entity is under the mode of the material nature. He's been controlled by Maya Devi, and because of being influenced by the modes of material nature, at each step, the living entity is undergoing struggle. But because and the modes of material nature are so strong that, even if the living entity tries and convince itself that, even though he knows that every step he's taking is a struggle, he will come up with all the explanation that it's okay. He's still going to be happy in the material world. He tries to convince himself. So that is how he's been under the influence of Maya, even though he knows that it is a difficult, he's suffering. The particular step he's taking is leading to suffering, or a particular action he's performing, it is leading him to suffer. In spite of that, the living entity is making efforts to convince himself that it's okay. Yeah, I will still lead a happy life, I will still be happy. But we know how darkness and light cannot exist together. So if there is light, then darkness cannot exist, and vice versa. So with struggle there cannot be happiness. So that is the first thing, that in this material world, starting from Brahma to the small ant, everybody has to struggle. Everybody has to take the cycle of birth and death. So Abrahma Bhuvanar Loka Punaravarti. So Arjuna, that is what Krishna is telling. So from the greatest creator, the secondary creator, Brahma, to the smallest living entity he has created, that is ant, everybody is struggling and everybody has to go through the cycle of birth and death. So this is the first understanding, that material world is the place of suffering, right? And the second point here, here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, what is the root cause for this, is that we, why have we come down to the material world, right? We all have heard that we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We, even as Supreme Lord is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, even we are Satchit Ananda. We are also filled with, you know we are also eternal, we are also full of knowledge and bliss. But why is that we have come down to the material world? Srila Prabhupada tells that it is because of the desire of the living entity to lord it over. So when we as living and when we were serving the Supreme Lord in his spiritual abode, we got envious of the Supreme Lord, and it was that desire, that tendency to enjoy one with the Supreme Lord, made us fall down from the spiritual world, and we came down to the material world. And even in this material world, Lord has been so merciful that he has given us all the facilities to enjoy, because in his spiritual abode, the actual fact is that only the Supreme Lord can be the enjoyer only, and we have to be enjoyed. How do we enjoy? Is by serving the Supreme Lord. But once the desire comes in that, even I have to enjoy like the Supreme Lord, that small mentality of lording it over has got us down to the material world. And just because we had this desire that we need to lord over, the Supreme Lord makes the necessary arrangements. So, that words from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that ye yathamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamiham. So whatever you desire for, even in spiritual world, I was hearing to a class from one of the Maharaj, and Maharaj was mentioning as to how in the spiritual world, the Supreme Lord fulfills all the desire that a living entity has, that a jiva has. He fulfills all the desires. And similarly, even in the material world, the Supreme Lord fulfills all the desires a particular entity has. It could but in case of devotees, we know it is different, but the Lord makes sure that he fulfills it. So, similarly, if one has desired that he wants to enjoy, the Lord will make certain arrangements by which the entity feels he's enjoying, but the contrary to it is he's thinking that suffering itself is enjoyment, right? That is how the material nature is. And because we are conditioned, we are covered by that the modes of material nature. Srila Prabhupada, he gives a very nice example of cataract. So a person who is suffering from the cataract disease, right? So he has that cloudy this a certain substance formed in his eyes. It's basically like an eye disease. Cataract is an eye disease. So, that's a small thin layer of covering by which a person cannot see. And there's very minimal vision. So, whatever he sees, he presumes it to be right. So, if this Srila Prabhupada tells, people in material world, they also have cataract disease, right? So what happens, any person in who is in this material world, he is, because since he's suffering with this cataract disease and he does not have proper vision, he's thinking that this material suffering is enjoyment for him, because he is suffering from that cataract disease. Srila Prabhupada tells that once the person who is suffering from cataract disease, he gets his eyes operated, he gets a clear vision. So similarly, once we understand what is our eternal position, what am I, who am I, this Atata Brahma Jignasa starts, and we start inquiring about the Supreme Lord and try to re-establish the lost relationship. then even we can, reconnect with the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul. So here, that is the second thing. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning the root cause of material suffering is that we are covered by the three modes of material nature. And here we can see Srila Prabhupada is talking about survival of the fittest. And he's telling that he is giving an analogy of the bigger and the stronger aquatics eating up the smaller ones. So how the strongest person survives. So this entire thing, no, this we are taught from a young age how smaller fishes are being eaten by the bigger fish. We all know the, you know the food chain, right? How the frog, the frog eats an insect, and how the snake is being eaten. The frog eats an insect, and that particular frog is eaten by a snake or something, and the snake is being eaten by eagle, and the food chain continues. So this particular food chain is to show that the stronger people in the society, or the stronger animals are surviving on the weakest animals, and this cycle chain goes on and on. So here, in the similar way, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning how the bigger and stronger aquatics swallow up the weaker ones. So, there is a fish, it's the Mingala fish. So, how that fish can eat up even a whale. So, we know how big a whale can be. So, this Mingala fish, it can even eat up a big whale. So, that is how big the fish is. So the bigger fishes are feeding on smaller fishes, and Srila Prabhupada is mentioning how even in our society, the people who are rich, they're becoming richer and richer, and the people who are poor, and they're becoming even more poor. And how, one person is surviving at the cost of another, right? So we all think that it's happening in the society. So it's that the stronger person is dominating on the weaker person, and we think that, we if I leave at the cost of another person, I will become successful. That is what is happening. You can see the same. It is not only in the food chain. You can see even in you can see the same thing in your corporate life. People who are, working in corporate, and you can see the same thing in politics also. So, the stronger section of the society is dominating on the weaker section of the society, and they are in the race of exploiting each other. But what do we think? No, it's enjoyment. It's okay. The other person is thinking that, no, I am enjoying. The person who is exploiting, he's thinking I am enjoying, and the person who is being exploited, he is also thinking I am also enjoying. So Srila Prabhupada tells that, a cheater, a person cannot cheat you until you want to be cheated. So if you are in this illusion that I am also enjoying, the other person is also enjoying, it's just an illusion, right? It's like one blind person is leading another blind man, and they both are directionless, right? They don't know what's the end destination because both of them are blind. So similarly, this is happening. The stronger section of the society is thinking they will enjoy, and the weaker section also is thinking I am enjoying, and ultimately all of them are suffering. So you can see this, how, even in corporate life, even in the corporate life, you can see that, the people who are at the lower stages, who are who have just who have begun their career or something, they are thinking, yes, I am doing a great job, but they do not know that the manager is exploiting them. And as the hierarchy goes, the higher manager is exploiting the person below him, and the team lead is exploiting the members in his team. So in the similar way, what is happening, each person is exploiting the other person, and they are thinking that I am enjoying. This happens even in politics, right? So there is a very it is a very funny story I was hearing. So there would be a politician. He'll a candidate. He stands for election. He tells that all of you vote for me, and I will do good to the society, help you improve your standard of living, and all the false hope that usually goes on. And the people fall to his trap, and he wins. And after 5 years of his term, his tenure, and again, he comes back and tell ask the people to vote for him, ask the public to vote for him. And the public thinks okay, previously also he would have not done anything for the public who would have voted for him, for the people who have voted for him. And again this time he comes back, and the people think, okay, we'll give him another chance. And this time also, after the 5 years, 5 years of his tenure, he wouldn't have done any work. And after that, after when the election time comes again after the 5 years, this time he again comes. And this time the people ask him, the first year also you told you'll help us out, and you did not do anything. You did not, follow up. You did not stay up to your vows. We thought the second time we will vote you, and the second time also you promised so many things, and you still did not stay up to the mark. So how can we trust you the third time also? Why should we vote you? The public asks him. And this person, he tells, the first time I got I got elected, yeah, I was also a very poor person, so I was thinking how I can help my person, how I can help myself, how I can help my family. So my entire 5 years went into helping people, helping myself and my family members. So I couldn't do anything for you people. And the people ask, okay, first year you helped yourself and your family members, what happened to the second year? And then this politician tells, the second year, when you people elected me, there were people who helped me to get through the post, my known people, my relatives who were suffering. I thought, okay, this year I will help them, and you know, give them a better standard of living, help them out. So that the second year also, I helped my relatives and all my well wishers. So now he tells that, now see, the first year I helped myself and my family. Second year I helped my relatives and all my well wishers. Now I don't have anybody except you guys. So this year, if you vote me, for sure, I will take care of you, and I will make sure that you people also lead a happy life. So like this, he gives again false hopes, and the people, they fall into the trap of this politician, and they vote him again. But the fact is, the politician will not do anything. So similarly, we feel that if I just stretch myself in the office for another half an hour, or just for another 2 3 hours, my manager will be pleased. The fact is that your manager is never going to get satisfied. He will think, okay, you finish this, he'll give you one more work. You finish that, he'll give you one more work. We are all in the struggle of test. What are we thinking? Okay, if I overcome, if I compete with this person, then I will be happy. Then you will have another person to compete. Then again, as day by day, the competition never decreases. So we are all in the struggle, right? What is the struggle? That you have to overseed, you have to overperform, over excel than the other person, so that you can survive at the cost of another person. But Maharaj was telling that at the end, when you think that I can survive at the cost of another person, I can demean the other person, and at his cost I can survive. That time Lord comes in form of Kala, and he destroys everything. That means he comes in form of death, and he takes away everything. So the survival of fittest is such a nonsense concept, because however fit you are, you cannot survive in this material world. So however fit you can be, do you think that you can overcome the cycle of birth and death? No, it's impossible. I'll just quote an I was reading yeah, in the internet, that how people are just surviving at the cost of another person, and they think, if I survive at the cost of another person, then I succeed in my life. So there is this person by name Brian Johnson. So this particular person, he is so foolish that he's trying to keep himself young always. So what he is doing is that he takes he infuses the new blood of the young people. He's making it as a business wherein he buys blood of the young people and he infuses the blood into his body. He removes the old blood from his body and puts in new blood to his body, so that especially of the young people, so that he can always stay young, right? So the when you infuse the blood of people who are young, right, the new young cells are into your body. So he's in this conception that by doing so he can always remain young. But the thing is that he's failing to understand that it is impossible for him to do so. And it is said that he, even though he's spending so much of money, the doctors are also telling them that he cannot stay young forever. He cannot keep on doing this process. But this fellow, he's trying again and again and again, and he's such a fool. He's growing old, but still he's unable to realize. He's spending crores of rupees on this entire process, this blood infusion, taking out blood from his body, infusing the blood of young people. But he's getting old. The entire process is a big failure, a flop, basically a failure. But again and again he's doing so, he's exploiting the young people, and he's thinking he can leave at the cost of the other person. But that is not going to happen. So what is the you know the solution for the problem? However fit you are, you cannot survive in the material world. So Srila Prabhupada tells, why are we, going through this entire false conception of survival of the fittest, is because we are identifying ourselves with the body. We are not thinking on a spiritual platform. When you think on a spiritual platform, and when you transcend the three modes, how can you do that? When you come into Krishna conscious. Maharaj was telling, Srila Prabhupada always mentioned that survival of fittest means becoming Krishna conscious. When you become Krishna conscious, that is how you can survive in the material world, right? So in during COVID, even during COVID, the scientists were telling only the fittest person can survive. How is that? So when you take this vaccine, when you inject the vaccine to fight against the virus, the vaccine does the work, right? It will help you to fight against the virus, and by because of the vaccine, you will not be infected by the virus. So the similar thing, even in this material world, how can you fight against Maya? Srila Prabhupada was mentioning in a lecture, he tells that only by becoming Krishna conscious, you can declare a war against Maya. So, Maharaj was mentioning, when you become Krishna conscious, that is only, it is only by the process of Krishna conscious, you can transcend the three modes of material nature. You can, come out of this entire cycle of birth and death. So we can see various devotees in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. It could be our Haridas Thakur, Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj. all of them, how they transcend the three modes of material nature, right? Maya came to Haridas Thakur in form of a prostitute. But how did Haridas Thakur, overcome that Maya, that he was constantly chanting the holy name of the Lord? So it is said that when she came, when the prostitute came, Haridas Thakur was chanting, and he told that he will give his time to the prostitute once he finished chanting. So this prostitute, she kept on waiting. Okay, so the next day also she came, and she told that, okay, today can you give your time to me? So Haridas Thakur told, I will finish my chanting. And the prostitute asks, so but yesterday also you told the same thing. Haridas Thakur told that that was yesterday's round, so today's round I need to chant. And then the prostitute, she thinks that, okay, I will wait for the person and I will also sit and chant. So the Harinam was so strong, the prostitute thought that, just by waiting for him, Haridas will think I'm interested, I'm so interested in him, and he'll come and, give his time for me, he'll associate with me. But the holy name of the Lord is, superior to Maya. So when the Haridas Thakur took the shelter of the holy name, the prostitute also became a devotee. That was how powerful the chanting of Haridas Thakur was. So we can see Prahlad Maharaj also, how he's a big fish like Hiranyakashipu was trying to eat up Prahlad Maharaj. But what did Prahlad Maharaj do? He did not go find a material means to overcome a material problem. That's impossible, right? How can you overcome your material problems with a material solution? That is not going to happen. That is when Prahlad Maharaj took the shelter of Hari. He had such immense faith on the Supreme Lord. So when he took the shelter of the Supreme Lord, such a big person like Hiranyakashipu, who was almost equal to death, but he couldn't do anything. What happened, in fact, he was thinking, I will conquer everything, I will rule over everything. No, that did not happen, right? Lord came in form of time, in form of Kala as his death, and he killed Hiranyakashipu. So we have to understand that the only way we can come out of this entire material suffering and the survival of the fittest can happen only if we take up the Krishna conscious and surrender to Guru and Gauranga. So these are some of the points that I could take from today's verse. So I thank you all for your patient hearing, and in case if I've done anything wrong, if I've said anything wrong, I seek for your forgiveness. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, पतित पावन गुरु महाराज की जय.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much for your wonderful class. How is that works for the survival of the fittest? And you have come upon with various examples and analogies how this material world is not a place for the gentleman. However, the living entities, they wanted to enjoy. They wanted the lordship over the material nature means they living entities, they wanted to enjoy the material world, misusing all the resources of the Lord, forgetting who is the owner, who is the servant. And with various examples you have explained, Mataji. Thank you very much. So Mataji is still waiting. If you have any questions, comments, you are welcome. Hare Krishna.